Mitch is a master falconer and a raptor rehabilitator stationed at the Letcher County Extension Office in Whitesburg. And Mitch has been in this for a number of years and very, very knowledgeable. And I think he's got a special guest with him tonight. But Mitch, I'm going to hand it over to you.
He said, I'm trying to share it, Chad. Can y'all hear me there and see me?
We can hear you and see you. Yes, sir.
All right, well, let's go ahead for that. I tried sharing it. I want to thank Chad for that real good introduction, Chad. Can't top that. So I'm going to have to move on. We are here at the Letcher County Extension. We're one of 4 facilities in the state of Kentucky that actually does this unique service for the community. Is we actually take in wild raptors, that's owls and hawks and eagles, and we bring them in and we try to rescue these animals. We have a veterinarian on board with us, and just like the other 4 centers, the other 3 is theirs. Awesome. The goal of our program is to try to get these animals back out into the wild. And the ones that are unable to be returned to the wild, then we're allotted through permits, we're able to keep these birds and actually go out and do educational programs with them, like at schools and events. We've been doing this program now for about 10 years, and we have rescued, last time I counted, it was around 180 birds. And out of those 180 birds, we were only able to return about 30 to the wild. So it's not always a happy ending that we look for, even though those are great events. We actually was fortunate enough when we first started our program, we was able to release a golden eagle right here from the facility. And that was a big moment. So as I said earlier, not all of it's the happiness, because these animals, they are wild animals, as we said. You know, they're not like our dogs and cat and horses at the house, where we provide them with everything they need, their shelter, food and all that. These animals actually have to take care of themselves. And once they're unable to do that through a broken wing or a missing eye or a broken foot or something like that, if the veterinarian and the Fish and Wildlife agree and they allow us to take these birds in, they think they're not mutilated, you know, or damaged too bad, that there's still some use for these animals, and we're allowed to adopt these animals and to go out and do these programs with them. Through the University of Kentucky, we are allotted these permits because we are an educational facility. They just don't give these birds out to anyone. And also, as Shad mentioned earlier, I'm a wildlife rehabilitator, where you have to go through some training and stuff to be allotted these permits. But again, through the University of Kentucky, the Fish and Wildlife, veterinary, it takes a whole lot of people to do this. Even though you're just seeing me here today, there's a lot of folks that actually helps to get us to be able to actually even do this. We were averaging sometimes 75, 100 programs a year, going to schools and events. Once COVID hit, we weren't allowed to go back into these schools and stuff anymore like that. So we sort of had to change our program up a little bit. We've been trying. We actually did some Zooms, we called them. We're sort of wondering that may be the way it's going to be in the future, especially like we're doing this one tonight. So as the environment changes, so does our programs. But we're very fortunate, again, to be able to actually even do this. Tonight, I'm just going to be talking about one bird. We have many, many birds up here. As I said, we take in owls and hawks. We actually have some red-tailed hawks right now that were juvenile birds this year. Juvenile means that they were born in the spring of that year. Now, these birds were actually born last spring, but by the end of the summer, these birds get as big as their parents. They grow really fast, sort of like chickens. And by the end of the summer, these birds are as big as their parents are. Some of them do have different plumages. Me and Jeremy was talking about earlier there about how The bald eagle sometimes has the striped head. They actually don't get that white head till they completely mature when they're around 5-year-old. The red-tailed hawk, his first year, he actually doesn't have the red tail. He actually has a brown tail. And as their plumage changes through the years, they still remain about that same size. They get there really quick, and by that first winter, their parents kick them out of the nest. These wild animals have to take right off taking care of themselves. And that's why 4 out of 5 of these animals, these raptors, owls, hawks, eagles, 4 out of 5 usually don't survive their first year. It's so hard on them, but these animals are equipped with survival tools that helps them out there in the cold. You know, we're all in our warm houses through the winter. These guys are outside every night. So they do have the protective coating, feathers. They actually have very brilliant colors. The red-tailed hawk's pretty bright, the white head of the bald eagle, but sometimes these animals use it as a camouflage. Now, when they're going after prey, I've actually been watching these birds before with a pair of binoculars, and all they did was just turn around on the branch, and man, you could lose them because they have 2 different colors of camouflage, one in the front and one in the back, and they're able to blend in with just about any environment. They also, these animals don't drink water. Now, they get all their water from the animals that they eat. Most of these animals eat rodents. The bird that we're going to have here today likes fish. They'll eat just about anything, but that's where they get their hydration. They chase after rabbits and squirrels. This camouflage outfit that we're talking about also helps these animals to catch that prey. So the camouflage outfit plays a big part in these animals' survival. You can look at any owl and see the big eyes. These animals rely a lot of times on their sense of hearing. When you look at an owl, he's got those big discs around his eyes. Those are like big satellite dishes, and they're just catching sounds. And he actually has the capability of curling these feathers in. It can actually sort of hone that sound in. Their ear holes aren't on the sides of their head. Their ear holes are located right under their eyes. By focusing those satellite dishes in, they can make the sound come out. I actually read in a book one time where it said that they could hear a mouse run under the snow while they were still up in the tree. So that's pretty impressive hearing, you know. And not only do they have the super hearing, these animals have supervision, especially the bird that we have tonight. Some of these animals can see up to a mile. Usually they can see at least 10 times better than us humans. So supervision and super hearing are 2 of their biggest survival tools. You'll see as these animals, as I get them out here today, that I've got to use a glove. These animals have needle-sharp talons. It also helps them to hold on to this prey when they latch onto it, whether it be a fish or a rabbit. So their claws, their vision, their hearing, all of this together helps these animals to survive. If one of those tools, such as an eye or their ability to fly, these birds aren't going to survive. Like I said, they're not like our dogs and cats. They're out there on their own. So we're really glad to have this program for those that are unable to be returned out to the wild. We still get to give them that useful purpose here. It's actually a great opportunity to get to see these animals up close. As Shad said earlier, I'm a master falconer, and I'd actually just flew mostly with red-tailed hawks. And man, since I have come on board with this rehab and this educational program, I've got to hold just about every kind of bird we have here in Eastern Kentucky. I think one year we did do a program where we had, I think it was 11 different species from around here. So that was pretty impressive as well. And we'd like to not only, as part of the educational program, we'd like to make everybody be aware of these animals. Lots of folks come up to me and they say, Mitch, you know, we never noticed these animals. We never looked at them. They're there. They're there all the time. But as we said earlier, they've got that camouflage outfit. Don't want to run too long on some of these facts. I've actually got a couple neat facts I'd like to tell you about the American bald eagle. That's going to be the bird that I'm going to get out for you guys. So if you'll give me just a second, I've got him over here to the side. And when I went out to get him a while ago, it looked like he hadn't eaten. all of his dinner, so I hope he's finished it up. So you guys hang in here just a second. This bird's actually lost one of his wings. And partially one, he has a really hard time with his balance. This is the American bald eagle. And if you'll notice, it's still got a little blood on it. He's red, I guess, before he come in here. Beautiful birds, aren't they? In the 1800s, guys, there was over 300,000 of these birds in Canada and Alaska and North America. By the end of World War II, the numbers went down to less than 500. We just about lost these birds, but in 1940, Congress passed a law that protected these birds. They were no longer allowed to hunt them or shoot them or trap them. And since then, these guys' numbers have come up. The reason they felt so bad was there was no regulations. Some of the fishing industries were saying these guys were cutting into their profits, so they would even offer rewards sometimes, up to $100 for a pair of eagle claws. And so after Congress passed the Bald Eagle Golden Eagle Act, since then these guys' numbers have risen up. And I think in 2005 they were taken off the endangered list, but these birds, all of them, are still threatened and protected. This is a male bald eagle. He's a little bit smaller. The females, they're usually about 25% smaller than the males. They're identical. They're not like the Kentucky cardinal, where the female's a different color than the male. These raptors, hawks, and owls, the adults are just alike because they both share the responsibilities of taking care of the nest, providing food for the cardinal. Usually the daddy with the bright red suits out there, that's just a decoy. He's trying to draw away predators. We got this guy from the American Eagle Foundation down in Sevierville, Tennessee, at Dollywood. I'm sure some of you have probably seen those birds down there. They have a great facility down there, and they have been a big part in getting these animals back off the endangered list. We were very fortunate to get this guy off of him. And when we were coming back, we were coming and back, we were thinking about a name for him. We thought we would call him General Boone because, just like Daniel, he had some obstacles he was going to have to face, cold weather and surviving. So we thought it would be fitting to give him the name of General Boone. You notice the funny sounds they make? When we see a bald eagle in Hollywood, this guy usually makes that sound like, like that. He makes a pretty crazy sound, doesn't he? Not like the one we hear in the Hollywood movies. The one we hear in the movies is usually a red-tailed hawk. These guys make the funny sound. I think it sort of sounds like a duck sometimes. Now, this is considered a mature bird because his head is completely white. And sometimes he can really it sort of lays down, and it looks a little whiter than it does now. When we first got this bird, he was actually about 3 years old. He had a lot of streaks, brown streaks through his white head and through his white tail. And we knew General Boone wouldn't be able to fly or anything like that for sport. So we thought the best thing we could do with him was just teach him to wave. So we put General Boone wave with all those folks. put him back up. And we worked with our local school about bringing high school kids up through the science classes once a month, and we'd bring them up and we'd do a bird show and we'd get out different birds and stuff. So we decided to really go a little deeper with the birds with the high school kids. So each month when they would come up, we would just highlight one bird. And that's sort of some of the facts here that I'd like to read off to you guys. These are some of the same things that we teach the high school kids. First off, me and Jeremy was talking earlier about the different plumages. I don't know if everyone can see this, but I'm gonna hold it up there anyway. If you'll notice from the white, you know, this guy starts out with pretty much a brown head. And if you'll notice, the increments are actually on half years. Eagles do molt their feathers just a little quicker than other birds, but most birds, owls and hawks, will molt one time a year. The eagle, he just seems to stretch his out just a little bit longer, seems like, but he does show differences every half a year. And if you'll notice, by about the 5th year, they have a completely white head. Got one other picture that I'd like to show you. This is sort of the test if there's going to be one. I've got 2 birds there. I wonder if you can tell me which one is the golden eagle and which one is a bald eagle. I'll let you look at them there a little bit more, and I'll tell you some facts that may help you figure it out. Okay, guys, with the eagles, when we looked at our mature bird here, he had the bright yellow beak and the yellow eyes. Well, when this guy was a juvenile, when he was first born, he actually had brown eyes. And as he matured, his eyes turned yellow. A red-tailed hawk is sort of the opposite. The red-tailed hawk is born with yellow eyes, and by the time he matures, they're completely chocolate. So these are things that we can look for when we're seeing these animals, that we can distinguish them. If you notice the picture that I showed you there, it was hard to tell those 2 birds apart. When we released our golden eagle here at the office, and it got up in the air, it got up so high, man, it was pretty much just a big black speck up there. And I thought to myself, I wondered how many times that I looked up and I seen a bird like that, and I just I put it off as a buzzard. You know, I said, oh, that's just a buzzard. Well, once he got up there, it was really, really hard for me to even tell, and we had just released it, so I knew it was an eagle. But you can a lot of times tell by the silhouette of these birds. The buzzard doesn't have the finger feathers, we call it, out on the tips of his feather. The bald eagle is sort of a wide wing. The buzzard, his is a little more pointed. So do look for these birds when you're looking for their silhouettes. The golden eagle, he actually, the way we can tell a little difference with him is he has feathers that go all the way down his legs. Now, when we look at a chicken, they have the scales all the way up and down their leg like the bald eagle does. The golden eagle actually has feathers, all the way down his feet. It makes him a little easier to recognize. The larger, there is actually only one bird that is larger than the golden eagle. That's a raptor-like bird, and that's the California condor. I said earlier that the female bald eagles usually weigh about 25% more than the males. This bird, the male, weighs, I think the last time we weighed him, he was 10 pounds. The females, they'll go as high as sometimes 20 pounds. So this was actually a little guy. I have seen the females, and their beak is quite a bit longer, and they're quite a bit bigger bird. They have a 6 to 7 foot wingspan. One other thing that we learned while we were preparing for the high school kids. You know, you got to really be on top of your game when you get in front of a bunch of high school kids. And while researching each one of these birds, so we could be able to fill up the whole hour when each different bird come on, I discovered that there is, some of you biologists may know this already, but there is a sort of like a rule of nature, and it's called the Birdman Rule. And the Birdman Rule is an eco-geological rule that states that within a broadly distributed taxonomy, that means in just a large population of animals, the larger their size, they're usually found in colder environments. And the species of smaller size are found in the warmer regions. So that may be why we only see these bald eagles up in the northern tier there of North America. We do see them sometimes migrating south. They will go as far south as Mexico. When it comes to their migration, a great thing they found out about the bald eagles was, I'm going to say it was about 15 years ago. You can still go on the Fish and Wildlife page and they'll show you. They did a program of tracking these bald eagles down there in Western Kentucky at Land Between the Lakes. And the information that they received from these birds, you know, they had no idea that these birds was traveling these distances. They had no idea they were even going this high in altitude. They didn't really think that they could go that far south. I actually, while I was looking at those graphs that they were showing, some of those birds would make it. And one other thing that was pretty unique about too, if you're familiar with Michigan, how it goes up in the Great Lakes, you're sort of on both sides of it, that tend to track them into, you know, a similar track every year. But what was unique was Kate said that some of those birds was going back to the actual same tree every year. And when I got looking at it, they was making that trip in about 3 days, which I thought was amazing. It takes me 2 days in a car to go all up there. So I thought that was pretty neat that but they didn't know all this information until Kentucky Fish and Wildlife started tracking these bald eagles. And the more we find out about these animals, the more important it is, the easier we learn to actually get along with these animals in our environment. Guys, let me get one more bird out here. I have got one last point here that I'd like to get across, Shad, and then we'll take some question and answers. So give me just a second. The more we find out about these animals, as I said, the more that we learn about them and we learn how to share our environment with them. We can ask ourselves the question, you know, why do we actually need these animals? Why is it so important to have these rescue facilities like this? And why save these animals? Well, for one thing, they're awful cute, to tell you the truth. This is the Eastern Screech Owl, and I'm going to let him help us sort of explain why these animals are so important to us. If we think about bats, guys, bats every night eat pounds and pounds of mosquitoes. If it wasn't for bats, if all of a sudden we lost all of our bats, we wouldn't even be able to go outside. There would be so many bugs and mosquitoes. So, you know, we need those bats. Just think about bees. 1 in every 3 bites of food, I think it is, that you eat, a bee in some way help produce that. What if all of a sudden we lost all of our bees? We would lose 1/3 of all of our food. Now let's bring it home to these little guys. This Eastern Screech Owl, one summer raising his babies, just one family, one summer, we eat 1,000 mice. Now let's think if all of a sudden we don't have these guys around. Those 1,000 mice are going to be in our houses, in our homes, in our schools. They're going to be everywhere. So these animals are a vital part of our environment. We're learning more and more, folks, of how nature is so important to our survival. We're losing grounds daily. We have to think about these animals and how we can interact with them. I love doing the school programs with the little kids and the high school and college kids as well. But I like to tell them, say, you know, these animals' future really lies in your hands. It's going to be up to you guys to make sure we stop littering. It's going to be up to you guys to make sure we quit polluting these guys' waterways. And we can't cut down every single tree and not plant back any. So learning how these guys live and how we can get along with them, I think, guys, can help us all. We love going out and doing the programs. And I think maybe the next generation might look at these animals a little more and help us all to a better planet. Now, back to the question. First, which one is the golden eagle and which one is the bald eagle? And I guess, Shad, if you want to, you can turn it back over to questions, and I'll ask, try to answer any questions I can.
Okay, you all can unmute yourselves if you want to answer Mitch's question. He gave you the information that you needed to be able to answer.
The pictures may not have been as good as they needed to see, but
yeah, you can tell. The photo gave it away if they looked at the feet.
There you go. Good job. Good job.
Okay, folks, are there any questions for Mitch?
Shad, we always like to throw a plug for our facility. They can reach us here at the extension office, our number, and through our websites if they see one of these animals injured. We do try to cover the eastern part of the state. We do want to provide that service. So always like to throw that in there that we are here. We're available to help these guys out.
Very good. You gonna give them that number?
Okay, the number here at the extension office is 606-633-2362. And my phone number as well as a rehabber, which is always 24/7, I guess, is 606-821-5602.
So we got a question here in the chat box. Want to know, can eagles turn their heads as far as owls can?
Very good question. Very good question. They cannot. The owls can go about 270 degrees, while the falcons and hawks, they're around 200. However, these animals do have extra bones in their neck that allows them to turn their head. They actually have more vertebrae than us humans do that allows them to turn like it. Very good question.
Any others? You can ask it or you can put it in the chat box. Jeremy's asking, how many eggs will they hatch per year and what is the survival rate?
Another great question. Somebody was asking me the other day about, they thought they had seen a baby owl. Owls actually have two gestations. They have an early one in the spring, which is about right now. They should be coming out. And then they do another one in the fall. Eagles and hawks, they're warm weather guys. So they usually start around April and finish up by June and July. I do know that the red-tailed hawks usually lay about a clutch of 3 eggs, and that's in hopes that just one of those birds will survive. Oftentimes, guys, the runts are fed to the strongest one. It's all about survival, and if one starts falling behind, yeah. Hey, Merle.
Mitch, what can people do to help these birds, and what's the biggest threat to them?
Well, we're the biggest threat. Most of the time, these animals, they fly into our windows and to our cars. There's not a lot that we can really do about that. But when we see these animals, the most important thing is don't bother them. They're wild animals. It doesn't. I know this guy looks like he's tame and all this stuff here. These animals never, ever become pets. If I was to take him to the door and he could fly, he would leave and never come back. So I think a lot of times folks wants to get that up close look at them and want to bother them, and oftentimes. But now a lot of these animals do get hurt in that survival mode. I've seen these animals dive right into cars going after stuff. So their survival rate, as I said earlier, there are 4 out of 5 don't survive that first winter. And the smarter ones tend to hang around for a couple years, but out in the wild, 10 years is a long life for these animals. I hope I answered his question.
Yeah, those are good. Any more?
Okay, the answer to the question. The bottom.
Lee answered it. Lee got it. It was the golden was on the top.
Oh, okay. I couldn't see it, Chad. I didn't know. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Good job. Actually, it's sort of funny in the shed. You know, when we first got that first eagle, you know, our facility hadn't been open. We hadn't had our permit 6 months, did we? And all of a sudden, we get this call from Fish and Wildlife to rescue this bird. You know, we was on top of the world, and we actually got to release it. So, you know, that's sort of like going to the racetrack the first day and winning first prize. You know, that's what it was like. And when we actually released it, and it went on the social media and stuff, they let me know real quick that it was not a bald eagle, that it was a golden eagle. So we were corrected right off the start about these birds. So, but it was in between those stages. Like I said, we were rookies at it, and we just started, and it looked like the bald eagle, but it was really a golden eagle.
Very good. Any other questions for Mitch? Okay, Mitch, well, we thank you for the presentation tonight, and that was excellent. And the birds teaching that one to wave was really impressive.
Like, never got him up on my hand. He was fighting me the whole way, I believe.
Thank you for being on tonight, and you did a really good job. Hope you have a good evening, and thank everybody for tuning in. Jeremy, what do we have, or Phil, what do we have next week?
We have on Tuesday night, we have Chainsaw Safety and Directional Felon by Bill Worrell and Extension Forester with Virginia Cooperative Extension. And then on Thursday evening, it's kind of part 2 to the portable sawmill presentation. We've got Dr. Brian Bond is going to be talking about do-it-yourself solar dry kilns.
Those are both excellent speakers and should be really, really useful. Merle, I'm hoping you'll be on here for that tree felling talk.
I tell you what, I told Sharon that you need to take some of that trees falling stuff too.
I got my card.
The card don't do no good where the tree falls off.
Well, folks, thank you for tuning in tonight, and hope you have a good evening. And we hope to see you back next Tuesday. See you all.